Okay. Um, it's a little too bright. Uh, so here's the thing. I'm a little bit on the somewhat larger side myself, but this is a just too much, even for a bigger gentleman like myself. Um, Now I'm not going to play all of what Tim says. That being said, go check out his coffee. He has his own website, timcast.com. Yeah, timcast.com. I recommend going and joining his site. Um, I think I'm going to state my opinion of what I think he's trying to say. And it's not so much the fact that you're fat that's disgusting. The fact that you're fat is worrisome. It's how you got there that's kind of yeah. So I'm gonna skip around a little bit because I don't want to hear this disgusting eating behavior myself. And we're gonna start with the soda can.
Where disgusting people just gorge themselves to death. There was a woman, I think she was in Korea. She was doing it.
Oh, and I don't have my audio set up right for this. Hang on. My bad. I was playing Minecraft on stream last night. Okay. We'll back it back up.
And then it's just her eating again. And I honestly think, guys, they have that stuff like that mukbang stuff, whatever it's called, where disgusting people just gorge themselves to death. There was a woman, I think she was in Korea. She was doing a live stream marathon food session and her stomach ruptured.
Okay.
And she died. Like, this is not.
I'm going to stop him right there. That kind of behavior right there. That is more what I'm talking about. Of the 7 deadly sins, the one that has accumulated the most weight for me is actually sloth. It's laziness, 100%. I will admit to that. Gluttony, I'll put it to you this way. I cook enough food for 3 people per meal. And that's because I'm feeding 3 people. And sometimes a dog, depending on what it is. I'm not going to give my dog starches. He's a carnivore. Dogs will eat anything, for sure. But they're supposed to be eating proteins. And I refuse to give my dog anything that's not a protein. Now, I'm going to show you something. Okay? I bought this yesterday. Okay? And I don't know if you can see the level of it, but it is open and I did drink a little bit of it. The same thing with the can of Pringles. Like, it's not even a huge can, so when I say, oh, I had, like, a quarter of the chips that was in here, this is the size of the can that I'm talking about. That's generally the size of my through-the-day snacks, okay? Now, meals, it's generally, like, 2 eggs, and a couple of sausages, and maybe if I'm in the mood for a biscuit. Sometimes I just skip the biscuit altogether, and sometimes the eggs are scrambled with cheese. Sometimes they're fried, and I slice some good old block, pepper jack or something off on the side. Okay? And I'm not talking about like that thick slices of pepper jack. I'm talking about just general, by about that and about that wide. They're not huge. Nothing I eat anymore is huge. And I have to add the qualifier of anymore. About 1920-ish, I was, and this is my 19 and my 20, not 2019 and 2020. Back then, I was smoking grass, and I could go to McDonald's and blow a $30 thing on literally McChickens, and back then they used to have the snack wraps and the single-dollar burgers, and come out with a fat bag, and we used to call it exactly that, the fat bag, because I was gaining weight like crazy. Fast forward, I'm in my 30s. I'm about 290 and losing weight, even though I'm not really doing much. I have reduced my food consumption to the point of bare minimum calories per day, literally down around 1,000 to 1,200 calories, period, bar none. I don't go above that. I oftentimes actually am well below that, and it's really probably not the best way to lose weight. It's probably not healthy for me, but it's working. Um, but I see this woman doing this, and I hear her slamming down, for me, by the way, enough food that looks like a week's worth of food. Okay? And this is talking about me specifically. If I'm just cooking for myself, dude, I'll make an egg, slap it on a piece of bread, slap a piece of, or, two pieces of toast. I'll slap a piece of cheese on it, pop the yolk, and just walk it over to my little area. Maybe throw some hot sauce on it if I'm feeling spicy or something. And that's a meal for me. That is a meal, right? Um, Now don't misunderstand me. I am more likely to enjoy a steak and a vegetable. And completely cut out the potato. I have completely cut out, for the most part, pasta, bread, and potatoes. And a lot of corn products. Now, with the exception of my snacks, because the snacks are kind of, they're more of a morale booster than anything else. And by the way, that morale booster is especially needed because we're in the winter months. I am doing snow removal. I am not just being sitting here, idle. In fact, just yesterday, I got a new tool for snow removal that'll hopefully make it a little easier. It was more so angling for faster. We got a snow blower. Well, today, I get to put it together because they don't ship them in one piece. I mean, if they did, could you imagine the amount of space that would take up? That'd be insane. But the fact is that it was almost 150 pounds that I had to move myself yesterday. And more or less, dragging it on the ground, in the box. I did until it got stuck in some mud getting into the door because, we've had rain. We had rain and decently high temperatures yesterday. Anyway, and by the time I was done moving that package, I was so drained and in so much fatigue that I didn't want to put it together yesterday. I mean, that's not the only reason. Yesterday was kind of a blah day for me anyway, but the day before that was uh kind of an interesting thing. We had like this weird weather pattern where it was rain, ice, and all this tidbits, but kind of getting sidelined here. But basically, your motivation, like my motivation, just like dropped through the floor because we're talking about ice, and ice is just something that I kind of like. Really, give me a break. I don't mind snow. Snow kind of gets me a little meh when I have to deal with the removal, but ice is one of those things that is not very easy to actually remove. And when your car door is frozen shut, then yeah. Anyway, actually, the car door being frozen shut is kind of what it feels like to be overweight. Here's the thing. I hate people like this woman. And I will tell you why. It's not a fear. I'm not fat phobic. If I was, I'd be afraid of my damn self. Um, it's a genuine hate and disgust. Because she is speed running to what took me 10 years to get to, by the way. But also, she's more than willing to embrace something that I don't want but have in my life, and I hate it. I hate watching people do this. It's why I stay away from content like this. The only reason I watched it was because of the bits about the universal health care, and I agree with him on this one. I absolutely do agree with him on that. In fact, I disagree with universal health care on a basic principle, except for like broken arms and like emergency room visits. I think those are the only things that really, because they could potentially lead to a matter of public health and safety. I think that those we could probably have a discussion about. But this kind of stuff, no. No one should be covering this. This should be absolutely and roundly refused to be covered on any basis. And I don't care what you're going to say. Oh, well, I'm going to lose my family member because blah, blah. No, you're going to lose your family member because they're fat and lazy like I am. You're going to lose your family member because they didn't have the energy or the will to control themselves around food. And I'm going to go here and blame the food industry a little bit too for making food borderline addictive by putting effectively addictive amounts of corn syrup and food colorings that make food both look more attractive but also make it look and make it taste more, giving your body just a big sugar dump without any nutritional value in it. Absolutely. That soda she's about to down is another example of that. It's got 4 grams of sugar. Sure. Okay. That's great. What other garbage is in it? And I'm not just talking about the food colorings either. Let's have a conversation about that. In fact, I'll use something that I picked up for myself. Let's see, Dr. Pepper, this is their new strawberry and cream. The first 3 ingredients, are you ready for this one? Carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, and less than 2% of caramel color, natural and artificial flavors, okay? So, in the first tidbit, you have sugar, more sugar, in the sense of the flavorings. And then you have food coloring because they had to use caramel color. Great. Oh, and then we go even further and it says sodium benzoate, a preservative, folic acid, caffeine, which is more what I bought this for. And there are better ways to get caffeine in your body. Go have a cup of coffee. And sodium phosphate. So it's basically a nice little bottle of sweetened chemical garbage, which is no different than what she's drinking there. It's not made with real food. It's not made with real anything. The only thing real out of what I just listed there is the carbonated water. So, oh, and the Pringles are probably about just as bad. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Vegetable oil. And then they go off to list off, like, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of oils. Potentially. No wonder these things make great fire starter, right? Anyway, watching this woman eat like that is disgusting, and I refuse to watch it. Now, on to good old
Not okay stuff.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna play it. I can't do it. You live the way you want to live, okay? My disgust, shouldn't offend you in the least bit. I wish you the best, but I ain't paying for your health care. Let me say.
Okay. I'm going to refute what he said there. And not about the healthcare part of it either. You're disgusting. You need to seek help because you obviously have some sort of mental disorder that is associated with eating, aka an eating disorder. And you really need to really get well soon because there's something seriously wrong with you in this situation. I am not going to sit here and tell you to live your own life because I will tell you right to your face. The same way that I do to my own face every morning and call myself a fat, lazy slob, I will do the same to you. You're a fat, lazy slob lady and you need mental help. Next. And also, I'm not covering your health care.
This to all of the angry people on the internet. I ain't telling her to do anything. She doesn't got to change her life. I wish she would. She doesn't got to stop eating. I'd prefer it if she got healthy, but she can live her life. Now, I am entitled to my disgust. I am allowed to say that gluttony is disgusting, and this country has a very serious problem with it.
Now, see, this is why I said what I said. Timmy here, Tim, is kind of a little bit talking out of both sides of his mouth, trying to tell her that she can live her life or whatever. Effectively, what he's doing is he's telling her to F off because, he doesn't want to see this crap. And in reality, I get it, you're not supposed to say that if you have a media company. But effectively, I understand him. I've seen enough of his shows to understand he's a very liberty-minded person. And, healthcare systems, health insurance companies in particular, rejecting certain claims because of, how do I put this? You've been to your doctor like 30 times. They told you to lose weight 30 times. And instead of losing weight, you gained weight, and when they tell you you need to lose the weight, and your blood pressure's through the roof, and you're diabetic, and you're about to lose a limb, well, guess what? And especially when they've gone through the process of trying to diagnose you for several disorders, only to find out that, you don't have any disorders, you've been sitting on your butt at home, mowing down on potato chips, popcorn, hot wings, and, stupid crap like that. Well, I mean, hot wings aren't stupid, fight me on that one. But, you're eating garbage all the time. At some point, it's not your health insurance's fault, and it's not the hospital's fault. It's your own damn fault. And you gotta accept it. Now, I'm sure, there are thyroid disorders and yada yada yada. Those are kind of in the minority. And by the way, to the people with thyroid disorders, it really helps when you're not, if you have a thyroid disorder, putting on the weight makes a thyroid disorder worse. It does. Look it up. Go talk to your doctor. They'll tell you the same thing. It's the same thing they told two of my ex-girlfriends, okay? Putting on weight makes thyroid disorders way worse. And the problem with that is that thyroid disorders can cause you to gain weight. So therefore, what do? Well, you're kind of stuck in a vicious cycle and you have to fight harder than most people to get out of it. And I understand that there are people out there who don't have the will to take up that fight. But there comes a certain point in time in your life, everyone's life, when you have to fight. Okay? I have done my fair share of fighting, I believe. Family, friends, enemies, I've had to fight all three. Okay? I don't want to hear it. Hell, add a fourth one on there into wild animals, because, that almost happened too. It is not my responsibility. It's not Tim Pool's responsibility. It's not my fiance's responsibility to make sure that everyone else is healthy or in shape or gets health care. It is my responsibility to make sure that I have health care, to make sure that my fiance seeks health care, to make sure that any kids that we have will have health care. That is our mutual responsibility, that last one. That responsibility does not fall to anyone else but me and her. No one can force it on us. No one can demand that we get into shape. I mean, they could. All right, let me rephrase that. You can demand it all that you want. You might get a couple flying birds as a result, but that's about it. I mostly because I am actually losing weight right now. I don't look it and such because family body types. What can you do? I'm short and I'm round. Okay? And also, I'm going to say there are two different versions of 300 pounds. You have 300 pounds of fat, then you have 300 pounds of pure muscle. And then you have kind of the combination of the two. The question will then become, which one are you going to be? Now, that's another thing too, is people are like, people don't understand. I am not all fat, but I'm pretty fat. I'm not morbidly obese. I'm not actively dying from my weight. I'm potentially dying from a heart palpitation that I've had since I was about 90 pounds wet with a brick in my pocket as a kid. Okay? That could be killing me, sure. But as far as my health goes, no, I'm actually okay. I'm doing just fine. My energy levels could be better, though. I will say that. Like, there's one thing, and it is not I'm tired all the time. It is when you have a certain percentage of fat on your body, everything, and I do mean everything, is harder to do. From going for a walk to tree climbing is basically impossible at this point. I break every limb I try to climb on. That and most of the trees in my area are not very climbable anyway. The ones in the dooryard especially aren't, because we had to cut them back, cut the limbs up, so that way the kids wouldn't hurt themselves by falling out of the trees, because broken arms are expensive. But no, I disagree with his sentiment of telling her she can live how she wants to live. No, she's choosing to die how she wants to die, and I'm okay with that. If she wants to eat herself to death, so be it. So be it. I'm not going to stop her. That's a more nihilistic way of putting what Tim Pool said, but it is actually the truth. She wants to die by eating herself to death. There's nothing anyone can do to stop it, and she's welcome to it. Because you know what? I am done trying to save these people. It's hard enough for me to save myself.
And people who make money posting videos online of them gorging themselves quite literally to death is a bad thing.
Okay, yes it is. And I don't remember if he covers this or not.
I reserve the right to...
No, he doesn't. He bounces off to the next topic. Let me explain why it's a bad thing. They're glorifying this kind of culture. They're making it seem like it's a good thing. It is not a good thing. People should not be doing this. The only people actively promoting this kind of lifestyle are like big food lobbies where they want you eating the corn syrup, So, yeah.
Be disgusted and to shame these people. But by all means, you do.
He covers this later, but he's absolutely right. Shaming does need to come back. Shaming needs to come back in a big way. I'll put it to you. I don't know if I can put it this way on YouTube, but I'm going to try to put it in a way that'll be a little bit YouTube friendly. If you are attracted to someone who's not of legal age and you act upon those impulses, not only should you go to jail, You should be the pariah of the prison. You should be, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you should be shipped first, feet first into a wood chipper. But as far as the shaming angle goes, absolutely give me a couple tomatoes, and we'll frog march you through the street while people are throwing rotten vegetables at you. Absolutely, 100%. And you know what? If you're fat, you can probably use the exercise. Just saying.
Do you? I guess that's the American way. Okay, and so
No, it
what I
isn't. And here's why it isn't. I'm going to refer back to the Second Amendment. The well regulated militia part of the Second Amendment is something that people, especially on the left, have tried to construe as, oh, well, that means that they can regulate how many guns, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not talking about the guns. They're talking about the well regulated militia, which means that you're supposed to be able to use your weapons effectively, meaning you know what targets to shoot at. But a part of that is also your physical fitness. See, here's the thing. People like to sit here and pretend like fat, obese people didn't exist back then. Oh, they did. It was called the monarchy. And guess what? People like George Washington, they saw their king not only overreach for power, but become fat, lazy, entitled, and probably physically sick at that point in time. Just like most monarchs are, or were. There's a reason that gout was considered the disease of kings, because they would eat overly large and abundant amounts of what were considered kingly foods or overly exorbitant foods. Well, I got a newsflash for you. We here in America, we eat like kings every day, and that's normal everyday people. You go over to the third world, you better be ready to kill for your food, because one way or another, you're probably going to have to do it. Okay? Go out to Bush, Alaska, where, in a smaller village about, I'm going to say about 25-ish years ago. No, I'll be more fair. Probably closer to 22-ish years ago. Where your whole village relied on an entire AC-130 drop of food one year because the barges couldn't make it up the river. Or, the barge was running about a week late because of reasons. When 9/11 happened, it took us about a week to get our shipment in. Try making your life stretch then when you only have like a single case of mac and cheese to go around the whole town. You want to talk about food rationing? We actually got special permission from the state that year to go out and kill an extra like deer or two, actually caribou or two per household, because we weren't able to get food in. And people were encouraged to share with their neighbors. Because we had to survive. You want to talk about hard. Try watching your area remove a bag limit on salmon because it's an abundant food source and you can't get food in. Okay? You want to talk about a rough year. That was bad. Fortunately, most of us were smart enough to see, out in Bush, Alaska, life's different. You have like a month or two's worth of food on hand because you never know when things aren't like how they are down here in the States. And most people who live down here don't understand this. You can't just go to the grocery store and expect it to have things all the time. That's not how it works. If the shipment doesn't come in for a good week or two, the whole store is shut down because there's nothing in it. Okay? The woman who runs the store at that point is sitting at home twiddling her thumbs and trying to find something to do most likely trying to prepare some sort of food like canning or whatever, so that way she can, ride it out. We're not talking about we are not talking about a very easy living situation. It's not easy at all. You come down here from living like that. You're able to, in some cases, walk to a Dollar General or drive to a Walmart. Okay, where there's an constant overabundance of somewhat food, and I say somewhat food because this isn't real food. There's a reason these things are called junk food. Okay? They're called junk food because it's what they are. They are junk food. They are designed to quell the appetite in between meals, or as a treat, as a snack. I am probably not even going to touch the rest of that Dr. Pepper for the next couple of days. It's probably going to sit in the refrigerator. Now, Monster is a different story. I drink the Mocha Loca Monsters. That's kind of, in reality, aside from a hot cup of black coffee, it's the or straight tea, lemon and honey green tea. It's about the only other source of caffeine that I can actually have, because every time I try to drink one of the more carbonated ones, which I know that's carbonated, that's why I said I'm probably gonna drink it over the course of the week. It messes with my stomach. If you know, you know. But no, I agree that this is something that needs to be addressed. We're gonna bounce ahead a little bit. Well,
I'll add to this is I can already hear the whining from these leftists saying things like body positivity and all.
I gotta stop him there. I'm sorry. Shut up. No one cares. Fuck your opinions. Everyone has one. They're like buttholes and they all stink. Moving on.
All that, and my response is, why are you offended by my disgust? When I say this is one of the most disgusting videos I have ever seen, I struggle to play it because the sounds make me want to vomit. Why would that be offensive to you? Many people feel many ways about other people. You see, these leftists live in this reality where they want you to enjoy and entertain everything they do.
Okay, I'm going to stop him right there. They do. But there's another element to this too, and it's a confusion of basic English language. Phobia means that you're afraid of something. Look it up. You have an irrational fear of a thing. Disgust means that you find something friggin' disgusting and gross. I hate to burst your bubble. They're not the same thing! Just because I find your lifestyle disgusting and repugnant does not mean I'm afraid of your lifestyle or you. You can fuck off with that now. Thank you.
No, we're allowed to shame you and be grossed out by things. Sorry, I'm not playing this game. When it comes to like the gender ideology stuff, you're going to get somebody who's very clearly male, and they're going to say, call me by my pronouns. And it's like, dude, okay, live how you want to live, but you cannot force me to feel a certain way.
They also cannot force you to say a certain thing. If I want to call a man, I'm going to call a man. And I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care what surgery they've gone through. And I don't care what they look like. If I think it's a man, I'm going to call it a man. They cannot... Part of the First Amendment is that you cannot compel the speech of another. Period. Because the only way to compel the speech of another is to have the government step in, which is a violation of the First Amendment. So you can fuck right off. And, I must say it, even if the First Amendment of the Constitution was a thing, I'd still call you a fucking man. Deal with it.
If I am unhappy with your attitude and behaviors towards me and think you are engaging in some kind of negative, I'm allowed to feel that way. It's how I feel. Now, by all means, live your life. It's called tolerance, not acceptance.
Exactly.
I ain't going to accept...
That's the important thing. The fact that you're allowed to do these things, the fact that you're allowed to be a man and dress as a woman, in this country. That's me tolerating you, okay? I don't accept it, and I don't have to. You think that I have to? That's your problem. The imperfection is your own, okay? And I will not placate to it. It's not my place, and I don't care to.
Any of this bad stuff, and I will argue against it. But by all means, it's a cultural thing,
that's
right?
Because you're more.
I'm not going to say that it should be illegal for people to eat too much food. I'm not going to agree with Mike Bloomberg, who was like, we should tax the poor because they buy sodas that are too big.
Right,
no, if you
gotta pause him for just a minute. And yeah, I did just realize that, I should have full screened it from the start. Here's the thing. I hate that. The taxing of foodstuffs. In general. We pay enough in taxes. I live in Maine. Maine is one of probably number 13 in the country for taxes. I like to say it's number 1 because we have an 8% purchase tax, or was it either 5.5 or 8% purchase tax. We have a higher than normal property tax. We have a higher than normal vehicular tax. We have, you don't just pay $20 at your local tax assessor. It's like 100 and something. We have, what else do we have? Give me a second here. You have your income tax, both state and federal. They basically tax you for breathing here. So, that's always fun. Oh, and they even tax you on your power bill, apparently, because, you have to pay for the government subsidy for people who get their electricity paid for through the power company for having solar panels.
want to buy a liter of cola and chug it with your supersized burger and a bucket of fries,
I gotta stop him there. That is in my defense, that is a once every 2-year treat item. That is not a everyday. Yes, my fiance works at McDonald's. No, we don't eat there every day. I might go there for a small burger and fries and a Sprite, or in some cases a Powerade or a water. But the thing that actually gets me is the coffee machine that they have there, the fancy one where you can get the iced coffees. That's my undoing. I like them, they taste good. Sorry, not sorry.
You go ahead and do so.
That being said, I get a small. And if they had a size smaller than a small, I'd probably get that.
However, while you are free to do so, do not come to me and tell me I'm not allowed to call you a disgusting slob.
Yeah.
Now, my friends.
No.
Many of you
I stop him there again. Freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, and they can't stop you. Next.
At home, you may be morbidly obese yourselves, or more abundantly obese, which I will draw the distinction. We've got a new classification, my friends.
This is important.
Obesity is when people are kind of fat. Yeah, kind of. Like a little bit. You have morbid obesity, where you are actively dying because of your weight. Moribund obesity is when you are on the verge of death. You could die at any moment. Okay, and I am worried about all of you. We had this FitCast IRL campaign. We said earlier in the year, all of you must get fit.
Yeah. If Tim ever gets wind of me doing this as a React video, I kind of wanted to weigh in on this a little bit, but I think you should make that a full-term thing, actually, and I really do think people should, not like Weight Watchers, but more of a get off your ass campaign. Like, jump on a bike, go for a ride, go for a walk. Go do some parkour. Go swimming if you can. Hell, during the winter, go make a pile of snowballs. Make about 3 or 4 of them and have a snowball fight. There you go. There's some good exercise for you. I haven't done that since I was a kid. Make sure they're safe. Don't put rocks in them or freeze them over like we used to when I was a kid, because we used to be real nasty about things. But like just a basic snowball fight. Well, what's wrong with that? Go roll in the white powder for a little bit, not like, Not unlike Scarface from the movie, but minus the fact that he was doing it with a different type of snow.
By November, by the election, I tell you this. If any of you out watching this are overweight and have not taken the active measures to improve your life, I implore you to do so.
Treadmill 15 minutes twice a day.
I will tell you how I feel. Look, I know people who are overweight who don't gorge themselves in this disgusting manner. They eat quite politely. They just don't exercise and they're eating bad things.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not disgusted by somebody who's just eating. It's the fact that
Yes.
these disgusting
See.
people, they're disgusting in fact because they're just slamming this. Ugh.
This is where the distinction is, okay? There is a difference between being a gamer fat versus slamming down like copious amounts of 3 stoners worth of food in a room, okay? I'll put it this way. You go to a Chinese buffet. Oh, God, some people hate Chinese food. I love it. I go to a Chinese food. I'll tell you exactly what I get. 1 egg roll, about 2 crab ragoons. If they have it, either General Tso's or the other chicken there, the sweet and sour chicken. No, sesame chicken. My bad. I haven't had that in a while, actually. This should be as an example as to the fact that I don't do this often. I try to skip over the fried rice because Chinese food is kind of a treat, and rice is kind of something that we use pretty regularly for like filler material when we don't have certain things, like we're low on veggies or whatever. But yeah. Proteins are something that we always have. We are never short on proteins. In fact, we've even made a shift to, and I know some people are going to say that's disgusting, but we've made the shift from eating straight up beef burger all the time to, clogging our arteries with, processed burger grease, basically, to eating processed turkey with, little to no fat in it. In fact, it's so fat less, I actually have to add butter to the cast iron pan to make sure that it doesn't stick. So, and yes, I use butter for that. I do not use vegetable oil when I cook. The closest thing to vegetable oil I will use is extra virgin olive oil or butter. We have some in the house for when someone wants to bake a cake. That's it. Or if I decide to be a fatty and want, brownies, I want to make a pan of brownies that are going to last for like 2 weeks, Well, when you eat a sliver up brownies that, looks like that, literally like the end of this remote, that pan of brownies lasts a while. I'm a minimalist and I'm also a rationalist. I'm not going to sit here and gorge on half the pan. I'm going to have 1 brownie, a small 8-ounce glass of milk. I'm going to sit my fat butt down and enjoy what I have, be appreciative that I have it and can afford it a little. A lot of that stuff actually comes from Dollar Tree, though, so it's not the best quality stuff, but look, if you're hungry and you don't have the money to do stuff, it works, okay? It's better to pay $1 for brownie mix than it is to pay... Actually, you're better off making it from scratch, because those are always going to be the better brownies. But, if you know, you know. I don't always have the stuff on hand to do that. Like the flour, I specifically have to go out and buy flour because when I do stuff like that, because it's not something I keep on hand. Because it's also not something I use very regularly. We are a very meat and vegetable heavy household. We're also slightly junk food heavy this time of year because, well, it's Christmas and, it's fun to enjoy things. But there is also the enjoyment with the understanding in the back of our heads that, we can enjoy all that we want, but we're going to have to make up for it somewhere else. It's just like a budget. And I do view my weight as a budget. I refuse to be over 300 ever again. You want to talk about miserable. You want to talk about not having energy. Being over 300 pounds when you're only supposed to be like 180 to 200 pounds. Oh, man. It's like... I can say this because I actually own this stuff. It's like constantly wearing a bulletproof vest, a fully loaded bug out bag, and carrying all of your bullets with you at the same time. Like enough to fight a small war, basically. It's obnoxious, man. The energy drain alone is ridiculous. I've turned literally a 12-minute video into a 45-minute me yammering on. So we're gonna bounce on.
And just posting these videos where they're just making the sounds, and I'm grossed out by it. But that's me. By all means, comment below and tell me I'm wrong, and you don't care that you think that I'm disgusted. Fine. But I think what this country needs to bring back is shaming people.
Yeah,
okay? Shame is not... I'm going to give him a fist bump and say, let's go, buddy. You got this. But if you're sitting...
Okay,
I'm going to give him a fist bump and say, obese, and they're in the gym, and they're born with like a bum leg or a cleft lip, I'm not going to shame them for that. If someone is morbidly obese, and they're in the gym, and they're working out, I am going to clap for them. I'm not going to insult them. I'm going to give them a fist bump and say, let's go, buddy. You got this. But
okay. So that's important, too. Shame and encouragement are a part of the same spectrum. They're a part of the encouragement spectrum. You need to shame someone who refuses to take care of themselves, so therefore they look and smell disgusting. But you need to encourage someone who's trying to improve upon that. And that is the difference. Huh. Sorry for the delay. I am not used to answering chats.
If you're sitting at home saying, I work from home and I'm a fatty and I'm going to gorge myself,
also,
what disgusts me, it's not so much about the chewing into the camera, which clearly disgusts a lot of people. It's the lack of willpower. It's the unhealthy lifestyle that is destroying yourself that you're happy about. It is the embodiment of sin, gluttony, pride, sloth, all of these things.
I'm going to stop him right there. I should know this. As a Christian, I definitely should know this. Wrath, gluttony, sloth, greed, lust, pride. What was the seventh one? I should know. I really should know this because I watched the Seven Deadly Sins anime, and they're all mentioned there. Lust. Hang on. Lust, greed, wrath, gluttony, pride. Focusing on the wrong issue here.
So if you want to do that, by all means, you do that. But I'm going to tell you, I find it to be disgusting. What I love is you see that story of a guy who's 300 pounds and he says, I have decided I will not be this way anymore. Take responsibility. Yeah. Merit matters. As I make a graph correlating obesity by political affiliation, it couldn't really do it, but it pointed out that there is a non-linear correlation, which gives them very little data, which is interesting. The garbage food that tastes good and not exercising me will clear up. You will feel better. Your brain fog is gone. Mental acuity sharpens. Improved blood flow is good for your brain and your experiences and your emotions. You will sleep better. You will live better. Your skin will clear up. You will feel better.
Not sure if I can talk about this on YouTube, but that's not the only way that it helps. It also helps with body pains, too. The blood flow in your body actually helps facilitate nerve endings. Fun fact. If your blood flow is bad, your nerve endings, they know it, and they react. And it's not usually good.
And so I tell you, the challenge I know for so many people is they have built these routines.
And also, if you're in chronic pain, like undiagnosable, just like straight up chronic pain, if you're not already under like 200 pounds, if you're a man, if you're a woman, I think it's under like 180 pounds. if you're not already under those two numbers, uh, try losing 5-10 pounds. Between the body strain and the, like I said, your nerve endings not enjoying the having to negotiate all the fat, you will find that a lot of the things that you were experiencing will start to diminish. They might still be there, don't get me wrong. You'll still have, in some cases, very intense pain. For sure. Um, but it would be a lot worse if you add on an extra 20 pounds. 100%.
Of eating the garbage food that tastes good and not exercising. Me, I am not a fan of going on hikes. It's so boring. I'm not a fan of lifting weights. It's so boring.
Okay. It is. No, he's right. Hiking, treadmill walking, lifting weights. You want to talk about boring? I literally have to like set myself off into my own little world when I'm on the treadmill for 15 minutes. Like I've even taken to putting anime up on the big TV in front of the treadmill and moved the treadmill in front of the TV just so that way I could watch TV while I'm on the treadmill. It is unbelievably ungodly boring. 100% he is correct on that. A lot of exercises are boring as heck. But the reality is that you should be doing them. Even as gamers, like, you know, I'm not saying you should go out and buy the $3,000 to $15,000 gaming treadmill where you strap into it and you walk. But, you know.
What I do like is skateboarding and parkour. So for me,
and there again, that's his personal preference. I like to swim. I love being in the water. It's winter time, and I'm not paying for access for a pool. Also, building an indoor heated pool yourself is expensive.
I've discovered that the best path towards getting exercise is to just skate. And what I haven't in a long time is the parkour, where parkour is better because there's look. I saw this video from Ian Miles Chong, and I'm just thinking, like, right now there's this big debate because there's Luigi Mangione guy about healthcare coverage being denied, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, man? Look, I do think there should be a degree of basic coverage for like broken bones, and we could do it through a voucher system or whatever. But man,
actually, that's kind of more the point of why I'm here. Here's why I agree and disagree with the idea of the voucher system. I agree with it because we need something to cover emergency care. I disagree with it because it should not cover people just being fat and lazy, okay? And again, the and lazy is not fat or lazy, it's fat and lazy. You are refusing to take the steps to fix yourself. That's where I think that the distinction needs to be, not the you're morbidly obese, so therefore we're just going to deny you coverage. No, it should be you're morbidly obese, your doctor has told you 30 different times, and you have done dietary samplings, stool samplings, to show that you haven't changed your diet, despite your doctor actively telling you, if you want to receive care from us, you need to do your part. Because anything less than that, in my opinion, is medical malpractice on the part of the patient. 100%. And the insurance companies are 100% right to not do that. Oh, sure, there's plenty of reasons, physical disability, blah, blah, blah. Physical disabilities have always had exceptions in medical healthcare practices, 100%. Sure, sometimes they get messed up in paperwork filings, and then you have to fight like heck to get them figured out, but, that's always been a thing in the system. That's always been a problem. And everyone knows it's always been a problem. Stop trying to bring a previous problem into the other problem that has nothing to do with each other. Next.
Am I very much just like, I don't think... How about this? Here's a happy medium. Universal health care, so long as your heart rate, your BMI, and your health is you're in a certain condition. And I mean it. And they're going to say, that's not fair. What about people who are disabled in wheelchairs? Yeah, sorry, too bad.
A better idea is to do dietary stool samples. Yes, it's gross, it's terrible, but like if you are seeking health care, it should be a combination of BMI and dietary stool samples. If you've been to your doctor 20 times, you refuse to change your diet, and you're constantly eating the same garbage that your doctor has literally sat there and told you, hey, you need to lose weight, but you're still sitting there eating McDonald's every day or going to Burger King or, not actually making good food decisions for yourself, then 100% your health insurance, in my opinion, your corporate health insurance that you're paying for should drop you, give you your money back, and tell you to go somewhere else. Um, so there is no reason that me as a private citizen paying taxes should have to cover your health care. And by the way, if I was in that condition, I wouldn't ask anyone to do it for me either.
Like, listen, basic healthcare means we can cover little things that are cheap. If you're healthy, there's not a lot to worry about. There's no
Again,
expense.
I gotta stop him there. That I disagree with. Basic healthcare needs to cover stuff like cancer, okay? Because not all cancers come from being fat, Tim. A lot of them come from smoking. Go figure. Um, but you can't just blanket statement, small things. I'm sorry, you can't. Why should a broken bone be that'll take up to, 3 months at maximum to heal over? More the worse your body is in condition. I disagree with him on this though, because like cancer treatments are stupidly expensive and they bankrupt and destroy families by being overly expensive. And again, there is a link to obesity to cancer, but cancer is not exclusively linked to obesity. Cancer is also linked to working in the automotive industry, working in paper mills, pick about a dozen other jobs, working in a building where there's asbestos, which is, if I remember correctly, against federal law, um, for having that in the buildings anymore. That's why we have, buildings here in Maine that have to go through a lengthy process to have the stuff removed. But no, pick a thing. And that's not all there is. There are two different types of diabetes, okay? My family has had both. I had a friend who I used to do grass with way back in the day whose mom had one form of diabetes, his stepdad had another. His stepdad was thin and tall and had low blood sugar. His mom had high blood sugar. It was just a thing. I think certain levels of diabetic care are required in some cases. But at the same token, insurance, look, car insurance is probably a good example of this. You wreck your car, car insurance will probably cover a lot of it. They don't always cover everything. And that's just the facts. Sorry, but it's true. I think cancer care should be one of the things that all health insurances are required to cover, because here in this country, we basically shove cancer causing products into our food on an industrial level. I mean, heck, and I know we're talking about plastic here, but like, whenever you put plastic in your mouth, you're putting literal petroleum based products to your mouth. Think about that for a minute. As someone who's worked with petroleum a great deal in the automotive industry, and yes, it is the exact same petroleum, it just has different chemical layers added to it. The petroleum itself is actually where the cancer comes from. It's just like smoking grass, okay? Now, I can't really fault anyone for smoking it. I used to do it in the past. I don't do it anymore. I don't do it for a litany of reasons. Largely, it just gives me a headache nowadays. I don't even feel anything from it, and I haven't for a long time. And even if I did, I'm not sure I'd want to stick around for it. Um, but here's the problem. Grass itself does not cause cancer. Inhaling straight up carbon can. And when you burn grass, you are creating carbon. Same thing that you're doing with tobacco. Now, tobacco's fun Tobacco actually has about 1 million more chemicals in it than pot ever could, or probably would. Although, if we industrialize it, you'll probably see the same problem, which is why, no offense to all the people who want to legalize it, but it's part of the reason why I want it to be remain illegal, is so that way it doesn't have all that industrialized crap just dropped into it. Um, I'm against smoking it. I need to iterate that. But putting it in food, I'm not necessarily against, because the plant itself does not cause cancer. It's the smoke that does, at a very, very lesser rate than what tobacco products do. Um, when you're smoking a cigarette, you might as well just go stand over the back of your car's exhaust pipe and just breathe in for like one or two breaths and then go get some fresh air. It's basically what you're doing to your body. You're and the chemicals are almost identical too. That's the scary part. Um, if I remember correctly, the only difference is the formaldehyde and the nicotine. And guess what? The formaldehyde and the nicotine are from the cigarette. They're not in your exhaust smoke. um, yeah, yeah, that's kind of nasty, isn't it? But there again, you're still smoking. Which is another thing. If you got lung cancer, right? There comes a certain point where I think that health insurance should cover care up to and including death. And I know that's people are going to say, well, that's why you have life insurance for when you die. I think that stuff like that should be included with your health insurance policy. I'm sorry, call me crazy, but like if you're sitting there with like stage 3 or 4 cancer and you're gonna die in like a week and there's just no way that they can do anything to save you, and you're sitting there in a church and you're praying and you're praying and you're praying, and then you hit that last like 2 days where you just can't do it anymore, and you're literally you're on an IV drip and you're dying. You look at someone and you say, fuck it, I'm dead tomorrow anyway. Give me a cigarette. Fine, whatever. But if you're smoking through your treatment and you got lung cancer and you know you're going to die anyway, I'm sorry, but like, at what point do we stop playing this game of watching Roadrunner and Coyote and start having a conversation about you not costing the rest of the world, thousands upon millions of dollars, causing drain that could go to people that are actively trying to improve their situation, when you just want to live off of whatever you can get and just smoke yourself to death anyway, and cause a thorn in everyone else's side. Like, I'm willing to be the nihilist on this, absolutely. Um, we're all gonna die anyway, but like, if you want to live as long as you can, that's great. I would recommend it. I would. Life is worth living. Choose life, man. Choose life. But if you've kind of, and I can't advocate for this on a YouTube channel because it's not right, but like, if you've physically hit the point where you're not going to be able to recover from whatever you have, right? Like, let's say you survive getting hit by a train. Your body is destroyed and your butt's in a coma. You're never coming out of it. At some point, we have to acknowledge the fact that you're a vegetable. Okay? Like, we might as well just, like, start growing things off of you, because at this point you need to serve a purpose. You're just laying in a bed with a ventilator tube. And I know there are families out there who are going to hate this video for this. They're going to absolutely hate me for saying this. And they're going to hate health insurances for agreeing with it, because they want to hold out the hope that their family member or whoever it is that they know is going to come out of it. And I sincerely hope and pray that they do. But there comes a certain point, okay, when the body is destroyed from the neck down. They're in a coma, and the doctor tells you they're not going to be able to come out of it. And even if they did, the life that they're going to live is certainly not one that you'd want to live, because they're going to be in constant agonizing pain to where they'd wish they'd be in the coma. Okay? There comes a certain point where I think that you need to make a judgment call. And if the person, especially if the person has a DNR and you're a doctor, then technically speaking, there's nothing you can do. You have to let them go. You know, I mean, the family could try to fight it, but in reality, in most of those conditions where a DNR would apply, by the time that they got legal authorization to override a DNR, the person's already dead anyway. Um, I don't have one. I don't want one. I'll deal with whatever pain's on the other side of it. I've dealt with pain a lot of my life. It's called having dislocated your left knee twice. Um, do the math on that. It makes a lot of things agonizing some days. A lot of days, though, depending on the weather, more than nothing else, is not so bad, but it's what makes me a grumpy bastard when I have to go do stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'll just kind of...
there. But if you have a rare cancer, genetic disorder, or otherwise, that's a very expensive treatment, and it's got to be paid for by someone. You have no right to anyone else's labor.
Yeah, that's true too. No, I agree with that. You don't. But that is why you should... I don't agree with the individual mandate of Obamacare, and I do refer to the Affordable Care Act as Obamacare. I didn't agree with that because of the fact that it required you to do it. That being said, I don't believe that health insurances should be directly tethered to your employer. I believe that health insurances should be cheaper than they are. I believe that you should be able to pick your own health insurance. But I also believe that you should be paying into it in advance. Like years and years in advance. You should not have access to other people's money. It's just the way that it is. But I also don't think that these care products should be in the tens of thousands to, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars just because you need something to save your life. But he's right. He's going to say the thing that I agree with the most. There is no good answers.
But you tell me. I'll wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up.
Yeah, the video's over. He's going to talk about where his next segment it is and tell you to go complain in his video. Overall, I do agree with what he's saying here. But there are some things that I don't agree with. It's a good video. 98% of what Tim Cass does is just good work. But, and I do recommend, I'll add a link in the description for this video. I should have done that in the first place, but it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I started this, so yeah. Where's the thing? I can't find the thing. Okay, I'll make a new window, drag and drop. Kind of a sloppy way to do it, but no, obesity is a problem. It's a large problem in this country, and people can sit there and try to justify or whatever and make a new one. Fine, whatever, you do you. But I don't care to justify. In fact, I'll tell you right to your face that there we go. Ta-da! The link is there. I'll tell you right to your face that if you're a combination of fat and lazy, meaning that you're refusing to do anything to fix your problem, I have no sympathy for you. I would have no sympathy for myself. In fact, I don't. I am probably more brutal to myself than I would be to anyone else about my weight. 100%. I do it every day. And you know what? It's the anger and frustration at that pushes me to try to do better. Okay? The anger motivates me. Put it that way. Not in some irrational, stupid way, but it's a good motivator. The thing that I disagree with, because I don't think there's really a good answer for it, is the cancer patient situation. Okay? They're just... A part of me wants to say that the Vikings had it right. When you feel like you've become a burden on your family and your community, then there's time for you to make a judgment, right, for yourself. And you need to consider it. And they did that a lot for people of elderly age, too. In fact, it's true of a lot of them. The problem is that, and it's not so much a problem as it is kind of a we don't know what to do with ourselves situation. Um, we want to show empathy and pity on people, and this is definitely where I'm coming from on this. I want to show the empathy and pity. I just don't want to pay for it. It should not be a I have to pay for it thing. It should be a you should be able to afford it on your own thing. Which goes back to the health insurance industry and the medical industry as a whole, because we have a problem of, well, we have wanton waste and just disgusting amounts of it in our medical system. If we actually batten down the hatches and tighten up the belts, you know, and actually did the job right, then sorry about that. I hit something in my eye. Then I honestly think that we could probably do things a little better. I feel like we'd probably have a health insurance, or a health care system rather than a health insurance system, and our health care system would be second to none. The problem is we have people who are going to 100%, they're going to blow the money that's given to a hospital on a new toilet for the executives, right? They're not actually going to say, oh, we need a bigger cancer ward. No, oh God, no. Instead of thinking for the patients, they're thinking for themselves. It's kind of disgusting. But we also have a situation where the health insurance companies do that too, where they're like, no, we want to keep your money for ourselves. We don't want to pay it out because we want to be paid for doing nothing. To which my response, by the way, is, if you want to get paid for doing nothing, go start a gaming YouTube channel. There you go. Go do some Let's Plays. Sorry, that's not fair to... Actually, it is fair because I do Let's Plays. I don't usually cover topics like this. This just impacted me personally, and I kind of felt like it needed to be discussed. But no, 100% shaming should be brought back. And I'm not talking about like federally mandated, because that's compelled speech. That's not acceptable. But you should, we should as a society be shaming fat people. It is not healthy. It is not a matter of, oh well, I just think they're disgusting. It's a matter of health and safety. You know, I don't need to be standing in an elevator and have two lard asses get in the elevator, and then all of a sudden I'm being crushed to death and can't breathe because they decided to not put the spoon down for a couple of meals after eating 3 people's worth of food. Just saying. You know, these problems can arise, and they shouldn't be a problem. This shouldn't even be remotely a part of society. We should not be at this point. It goes to show that we're a very affluent society, actually. But it also shows that we have little respect for our bodies, ourselves, or what we have. And that is disgusting in and of itself. You don't respect the power that you're given, and you're going to abuse it. I'm sorry, but at that point, you've hit that point of disgust with me. I can't say this on YouTube, but I'm going to say it on YouTube. That is no different than a YouTuber, a streamer, or an influential personality coming out and calling for violence on somebody. If you are unwilling to control yourself, and it is the same thing as a lack of self-control, if you're unwilling to do that, just that one little thing, to the point where you're being physically detrimental to the rest of the people around you, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. You're the problem. You need to be dealt with. There. I said what YouTube won't usually let us say. And by dealt with, I mean in my opinion, you need to be chained to that treadmill and forced to walk until you're thin again. If you're crushing people in an elevator and not leaving enough room for people to breathe, yeah, 100%. I think that if you're at that point where you purposefully get on that elevator with the intent of causing someone physical bodily harm, guess what, Lardy, you get to go to jail. That's what I think. Now, that being said, there's a difference between shaming someone and being abusive. Abusive is what I do, calling someone a lard ass. Okay? Shaming someone and telling them you need to lose weight because you're fat, you stink, and you need to do something about your appearance because it's disgusting and you're probably not doing too well in the case of your physical health. That's shaming. Abusive is where I come in. And believe me, give me the opportunity and pay me for doing it, you will see a whole lot of verbal abuse come out of my mouth. 100%. And it won't just be for the money either. That'll just be a bonus. But I do try to control and moderate myself on YouTube because I'm not really a shock value kind of guy. In fact, I actually am proud to be boring on this channel. I am proud to bore the hell out of people. But that goes back to the laziness, which then plays into the fat, so you still have the vicious cycle of laziness anyway. But we're going to wrap. That's it. We all need to lose weight, and we need to start working on it. Get off your butts and go do something. Hell, even if you don't have a wood stove, go grab a chainsaw and a splitting axe. Go cut down a tree and split some firewood for a neighbor. Do something. Anything. Do snow removal for a relative. Clean your house. There you go. When's the last time any of you fatties ever cleaned your homes? Busted. Anyway, if you like the content, hit the like and subscribe button. If you don't, leave a comment. Chew me out. Do it. I welcome the negative feedback. Just make sure it has some sort of creative criticism, constructive criticism. Don't just be verbally abusive. Let me do that for you. Have a lovely day.